Hello and welcome to our show, Film Talk with AJ Dean. I'm AJ Dean, your host, and today, happy Friday, everybody. We have a phenomenal guest, a very special, wonderful comedian, funny guy, actor, and production crew, a film professional in the industry. We have Luis Garcia. So let's give him a super warm welcome. Hey, Luis, how are you doing? So happy you're here.
Hey AJ, I am doing well. Thank you so much for inviting me and for putting up with my last minute schedule request. As you know, it's been very hot. We were in Portland, me and my puppy were in Portland this week, and it's just been pure awful heat. And so we needed to get back up to Spokane where it was a little more manageable for him because French bulldogs don't like the heat.
Absolutely right. And Luis, we're so happy to accommodate you in any way and all of our guests because you're special VIPs. It's the spotlight is on you,
Thank
and
you.
we celebrate you. And most of all, we're happy that you and your pup and your fur family are happy and now cooler. That was crazy, wasn't it? I mean, I've never 108 degrees in the Portland metro area. Have you heard of that before?
I have never experienced heat quite that hot in Portland. I know that 2 years ago we had that record-breaking heat, like 116 in Spokane for a day or two. That was terrible. We were in AC both days, and it didn't seem to do anything. So, uh, global warming is a hot button issue, but if anybody doubts it, I would encourage them to look into the science because it's we need to make some changes as a society really quick because it's just going to get warmer. I mean, the oceans were the hottest they've ever been this year too, which is terrifying. So my goodness, there's so much going on in the world.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. And who knows, we may be moving up north where you are, where it's cooler. So,
Yeah. The only thing there's plenty of room in Spokane. I definitely recommend it. I was able to afford this massive New York style 3 bedroom apartment for the kids to have their own room. Adam Vargas, who introduced me to you, and we want to give a I'm actually wearing the Yellowstone shirt he got me. He always gets me the best birthday gifts. He was just here 2 weeks ago. We had some projects to kind of finalize and do some audio syncing and some extra scenes for. And he was here for the week, and he was telling me Spokane is just the chillest, like little pocket. It reminds him a little bit. It reminds me of Southeast Portland, actually, but
yeah.
just a lot larger. Just very relaxed. The people are super kind. Everybody kind of minds their own business. But if you see your neighbor stranded on the road, they're gonna stop. And as much as I miss Portland, I'm really enjoying my time here, getting to know people and spread my wings a little bit artistically.
I love that. And I agree. And we do want to give a special shout out and thank you to Adam Vargas. We love you, Adam. He's an
Yeah.
incredible film director, screenwriter, also worked as production crew in the past. And
Hmm.
he's so special. He's really, really great. He loves movies and film, just an excellent film industry professional. We've had him on the show. So once again, thank you. Hey, Adam, thank you so
Hey,
much.
Adam.
Sending you
Yeah,
lots of.
lots of
And
love. Me and Adam, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I'm sorry. I was just going to say congratulations, Adam. He's just become a proud papa again. So that's wonderful. So over to you, Louise.
Yeah, we were both working on not CSI. We were both working on Law and Order Criminal Intent at the same time. I was working in background casting. He was working in props. I never got to see him though, because we were two separate offices. And as you can imagine, the Law and Order family is pretty centrally located. I think at Silver Cup at the time in Brooklyn, but the offices were everywhere. So I used to do uh, background casting assistance for all the Law and Order shows, but also office PA. So I remember the main casting director, Grant Wolfley, who's super well known in New York, would have me do the deposit runs for Law and Order. He would give me all the checks to run to the bank. And not to give anything away, I was just like, wow, I really want to get into background casting. This is like super lucrative. Wow. But the Law and Order family is huge. And anytime you called the office, it was like Thank you for calling Law and Order. For CSI, for criminal intent, press 1. For special victims unit, it was like this whole conglomerate. It was so incredible. And Adam had a great reputation for just being on top of helping out not only his department, but trying to help out wherever there was a need. And, he's hanging out with Wallace Shawn, chilling with D'Onofrio. I'm getting so jealous. I'm like, I want to be on that set. Just an incredible time. Every time we look back at that, we just can't believe it. Because as children, we grew up obsessed with television. We grew up obsessed with movies. We have a whole podcast based on our childhood obsession, the TV Time Machine podcast. And to be able to have that shared experience, even though we never saw each other on the same show, it's just incredible. I haven't really let that register, even though it's been over 10 years. So Adam is an incredible friend. And I've acted for him in 2 films now and got to join. Not to promote, we are not promoting films here because we are standing in solidarity with our SAG brothers and sisters and WGA brothers and sisters. But I did one comedy with a ton of comedians, up and coming and super well-known comedians in New York. It's kind of a riff on VH1 Behind the Music. We all play separate members in a band called Special Guest. It's really hilarious, but he's been able to interview us all separately and like superimpose our images and like Rolling Stone like photo shoots. And I never got to meet my cast and crew in person, but seeing it spliced together is incredible. And he's just super talented. So kudos to you, Adam. Thank you so much for the intro.
Yes, thank you, Adam. And he's a special soul. He's got a beautiful spirit and a beautiful heart and a beautiful family. And he's an awesome parent because he's raising his family, and he and his wife. I just want to say she's Italian, which is of course dear to my heart.
Kristen,
And we love them as an Italian family. And also he's Mexican and also Native American. So he's got like the best of everything as well.
I agree.
But he's raising his kids right. Do you know what I mean? With the balance. And I just want to say, I want to give a shout out to him on that as well. And I know you are as well, because we need that, especially in today. The world's a bit crazy. So to bring in that grounded sense of balance and chill and relaxed and community type feel, positiveness that you both have. It's a wonderful thing. And that's what we need more in the world, is good families like that. So you're an example, and so is Adam. So thank you, Luis.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. It's been great. Me and my kids have we spend every other weekend together, sometimes more depending on schedules. And they know that when they're at dad's, and they're at mom's too, but they know that when they're here, we're going to at least watch one movie and do some kind of nerding out on some kind of pop culture thing. Normally it's, now that we're downtown, we go to AMC. My son prefers AMC. The theaters, they're clean, they're massive, they're really cheap. They're cheaper than Regal, as much as I love Regal Cinema. And we've been doing the summer blockbuster kind of tour. And this weekend it's Blue Beetle, which I'm excited about for the Latino representation alone. And it's got a whole Latino, mostly cast and crew. And the fact that DC Comics and Warner Brothers were able to kind of push this through to fruition. As you know, it's been kind of weird over at Warner Brothers Discovery. They've been canceling shows left and right. They've been canceling actual films that were like in the can, like the Batgirl movie. So Blue Beetle is a huge deal because Jaime, the main character, is of Latino descent. And the movie really focuses on his origin story and his family. And George Lopez is in it. All kinds of great talent. Susan Sarandon is the villain. I mean, you can't get any better than that. So
I love her. And you're right. A lot of it sounds like such a great movie. I encourage everybody to check it out. And I love that you shared that. And you're right. Warner Brothers has a lot going on. I've heard some people in management too changing up their in positions and leaving and all of that. So we hope things get sorted out there. But I did check out your Instagram, and I thought this was so fun. Did you see Barbie? Let's talk about that.
Oh yeah.
What did your kids think?
I admittedly, I'm a huge, massive fan of Greta Gerwig. I always have been since I forget the name of the first film I saw with her. It was black and white, and it was shot in the city. So much for being a huge fan of Greta Gerwig, but I really loved Little Bird. I'm a huge fan of what she did with Little Women.
Oh yeah.
I loved her work in the Noah Baumbach movie that came out last year with Adam Driver. I love that community of filmmakers. They're from New York, and really concentrated on really good scripts, really good performances, and it wasn't so much on the flashy type of thing. So when I heard that she was doing Barbie, obviously was a little skeptical. And then when I first saw the first trailer for Barbie, it was a take on 2001 Space Odyssey in the trailer, with Barbie kind of overtowering, the kind of stereotypical girls playing with dolls. Suddenly there's a big, huge Barbie, and then the girls started smashing their dolls, and I thought, wow, this is going to be interesting. And then they cut to the world, and it kind of had like a live action Lego movie feel. That's what I first felt seeing all the colors. And similarly, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Ryan Gosling, similarly, and then Issa Rae, seeing their faces, America Ferrera. That's when I started getting excited about the cast. Will Ferrell, for crying out loud. So I was a little skeptical, but I kept hearing how incredible the script was. And I actually got to read an excerpt, like 12 pages from the middle of that script from a variety of sources. I won't give that away, but I was like, this is good. This is like, they're really doing something special.
Yeah, different and better. Yeah.
And to be able to, I kind of had that surprise feeling when I saw the Lego movie. Like, you can actually make a good story out of anything, really. So we went and saw it. I wore pink in solidarity with my daughter, who wore a beautiful pink dress outfit.
Love it.
My son wore his rainbow shirt to kind of represent everyone. And we sat in the back row, and it was an experience. It was a journey. It was the kids are at the appropriate age for it, 14 and 12.
Yes.
And we had a blast. We laughed, we cried. I mean, I was in tears, like pretty early on. The movie gets emotional. It doesn't waste any time with like letting you know this is a super kind of metaphysical journey into feminism, new wave and post new wave feminism, and really kind of tackling the patriarchy and seeing Ken go from this kind of goofball, kind of like lost in his own world, as a beach worker, which was hilarious, to kind of going into a real world and then getting kind of obsessed, kind of possessed by this patriarchy and bringing it back. And he became the villain, in the story, which I thought was incredible. So super impressive. Noah Baumbach and Greta are a fantastic writing pair. And I haven't seen Barbie again. I think it's worthy of repeat views, but I'm still letting that movie sink in. And, seeing Rhea Perlman as the maker at the end was just so beautiful.
Love her.
Rhea and Danny DeVito are such a powerhouse couple. I grew up watching Carla on Cheers. I grew up watching DeVito and all his films, the Penguin.
Great. Oh God.
So good. And there's so much talent in those two.
Yeah.
And I thought, I thought Barbie was an experience. The audience was reacting super well. And it's so funny. I just went to, when I was camping with my best friend's extended family. And by extended family, I mean, I was outnumbered at like 45, 50 to 1.
Wow.
The family comes from mostly Oregon, Washington roots. They call themselves backwater rednecks, which I don't like that terminology. They do it to make fun of themselves. But it was so funny trying to explain to some of the men in that group that are a little more, quote unquote, patriarchal, traditional thinking men with kids my age. And they were like, you saw Barbie? And I was like, no, actually, I had certain stigmas going into this, but it's super incredible. And one of the young men there who's 16, who's got his first girlfriend. So adorable. I had him on my podcast recently. He's such an adorable kid. He told me he took his girlfriend to see it, and he was like stepping up too. He was like, "No, guys, this movie was really good. It has a lot to say about society. It's not just a platform for feminism, even though that's a strong layer, an important layer. It's not the main theme of the film. The main theme of the film is, I would say, is being human looks so different on everyone, but it starts with being a kind person, and
Amen.
that's where it starts.
Amen.
And
Love
if
that.
you, yeah, that's the foundation. And the fact that she was going to the gynecologist at the end was just really bringing it home of what women have to go through, and having a daughter, and a beautiful co-parent and beautiful daughter, and having a son. It's super important that we educate ourselves as much as possible for the female experience, in general, and feminism, because it's not taught widely. It's not something you're going to go to elementary school and you have science and math and social science,
Right.
and then feminism or equality for women. That's not really taught, especially in this political climate now. My God, I mean, it's like everyone in power, I would say, of the old patriarchy is doing everything it can to reverse progress and radically change progress and erase progress. And it's a really scary time. So I think the reason the world embraced Barbie is because of the positive message. I think everybody really wants to do the right thing. And I think that film drove it really home. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love what you said. Yes. And bravo to you. It's so important. We need to continue the progress that we have made and keep going forward. And movies like this, it's important. It's helping educate the whole world. If some people are not privy to that and understand it, then they can watch movies like this and, learn and change. And again, you're right. It's all about being kind and the heart that matters. And the heart and the mind are very connected, and we can change hearts in the future. We can change minds, and that's what it's all about, to come down here on the planet and be kind. And me, I'm about unconditional love. I have that in my heart. I know you're the same way, so is Adam. And I love meeting people like you and your family. So happy that your daughter and your son enjoyed it. It's a
mhm,
celebration. Film is still a celebration. It always will be. And I love that you appreciate film so, so much. And
yeah,
so thank you for that. And with that, we've got on screen here two films that you have been a part of, Luis, and Rent and then Colossal. So can you share with us a little bit about each one and what they meant to you, whether good or bad experiences? We want to hear it all because we adore you.
yeah. Well, I think Rent was one of my first large films I'd ever been a part of, working in the background casting department, again with the same firm, Grant Wolfley Casting. I was an intern, but that was the gig that I started actually getting a paycheck on. And for background casting, you work under the guise of the casting director, who works under the guise with whatever department, or whatever. There's a lot of subsets, obviously, but basically for me, it was like, hey, we need bohemian types, 20 to 30, that look like 80s bohemian Manhattan.
Cool.
So, or New York. So for me, certain casting directors were a little more business than others. Christian Freeman, who I still hope is working as a casting director in the city, was super kind to me, and he was like, "You look a little lost. Let's look up on the internet what bohemian types meant for the age, for the age period, so I could look up, these type of looks." And so they had a huge physical database of what do we call those, headshots. So I would just go through my headshots, collect what I thought, and then submit them to the casting director. and then make the call if they wanted to see the person either for audition and or have them, come in to take pictures, and or if they were someone that they really worked with a lot, go ahead and just book them. And I did that for several weeks, and it was just incredible, an incredible experience. I got to go to set one time. That was out of control. It was just like, this is incredible. I didn't get to see Chris Columbus. I heard he was super private on set, especially being someone that came from comedy. I'm sure shifting to a musical, the focus had to be super intense. But everyone on that, everyone that I encountered on that was super cool. I remember, I can't remember. She's playing Ahsoka in the new Star Wars show, and she's in the movie. I'm really bad on like when names need to come up.
No worries.
Yeah. She played Mimi in the show. The name will come to me soon. And everyone was just super incredible and kind. And that's like one of the things I hold close to my heart. From that film, I went on to do The Departed with a similar role, and then several other films, a variety of different budgets that were shooting in New York or around the area. The Night Listener with Robin Williams was an incredible experience. That's the one where I really got to kind of showcase my producing skills, even though I didn't get a producing credit, obviously, but I was able to tap into the little town community that they were filming in and get a bunch of extras for them because I knew a producer I had worked with in that town. And they were able to partner up with his little production company and hire a slew of extras for a diner scene. My literary manager at the time, was also an actress. She got to work with Robin Williams all day. I played a waitress, got to talk to him.
Wow.
Just incredible. So that's when I really started liking the producing aspect of things, because, producing is really just connecting dots, introducing people, and seeing what department head or what person in this department will be the best for this production. And, if you do it right and you're skilled, you really get to see what kind of personalities will meld really well together. My experience on Colossal, I hadn't been doing a lot of, I never really had like a PA gig where I was just a PA. And so that experience made me raise my respect level for PAs tenfold. I wasn't treated the best with the people I was working with. That's not a reflection on the cast or crew or the director or any of the performers, Jason Sudeikis, any of those folks. And Anne Hathaway, I think, was on there as well, who's the lead. Let's see. Yeah, it is Anne Hathaway. There we go.
That's so cool. Let me put my glasses on so I can see. Oh,
but
yes.
The pocket, I was there for a few days. The pocket of people I was working with were tired, and you could tell that they'd been doing this professionally for a while. And then here I come through a referral with my IMDb credits, working on these massive productions, and just was kind of green with like the PA work. And they let me, every chance they got, the people I worked with let me know I was green. So it was an experience. I got, I kind of got my ass handed to me on that one, even though it was a couple of days, but it was great. Mm-hmm. And I put that on my dossier and roster that it happened. And, I will say I do overall really, the vibe in New York is just different than most other sets. And it's just a learning experience. So it's important to know where you fit in on a film set. If you're not really super familiar with who hired you, it's really important to know. So I think referral based film work is super important. If you find a film family, continue to work with them. That's how I feel about working with Adam. When I came to Spokane, the first thing I did was join the local film community group Facebook. I put myself on the register just because I knew, it was the middle of the pandemic. There wasn't nothing going on really. And then Don Sano, our director, reached out needing a producer on his short. And I helped out with that one as producer. And that I just put on my Instagram has gone on to win close to 15 awards all over the world for his little short, Dream Cycle. And he actually worked with an actress on his previous short film that I was trying to get hired on to the horror film I co-wrote last summer. So it really is a small community. Film and TV, as expansive as it is such a small community. It's super important, I think, to have a reputation for at least being kind, again, as the foundation, and then knowing what you're really strong at. For me, it's networking and producing, and writing. Hopefully we'll see some fruition of that soon. And then kind of sticking with that. And then also being humble enough to know when you don't know much, like on Colossal. Also, I associate produced a film back in 2013 called The Falls, A Testament of Love. It's a sequel to a series of movies about two Mormon boys that fall in love. And I worked on the sequel.
Oh, cool.
And I was the only producer that started. And again, overwhelmed, was like, these people are legit. They want their paperwork. They want their SAG after. I mean, SAG deals, signed, sealed, and delivered, their daily rate. And again, learned a lot on that. I walked away going, yeah, this is something you have to show up, be present for those long days on set. And you have to really kind of do your best to protect the creative team from the, other things that you can handle. And I remember a crew, some sound department guys from Seattle that were super well known for their work in Seattle productions. One of them especially, needed to have his little debrief with me every day about what he was going through. And it felt really cool to be able to champion and advocate for him. But it was also very daunting and scary that this person with such a resume was coming to me, and, as a newer producer with all these concerns. And John Garcia, the director of that film, has been such a great friend to me and champion for me. And I would love to work with him again one day. I just have to. I think for some of my friends that are directors, the James Westbys, the Misha Webleys, who are Nick Lyons, that are starting to move up in the ranks and get to be really well known, I do have their support. But I do think that for me and for them, I think I need to really knock one out of the park again. I think I either need to do a short or my first actually finish a feature. We'll get into that later, and just kind of prove that I can handle, all hats.
Yes, that's
So
the key. And you're dropping gems, Luis. I love what you're saying. And you did so well on both of those, Rent and Colossal.
yeah,
Colossal. You did great on those. And I love the realness of your advice and wisdom. This is going to help a lot of people because
I hope
yes,
so.
you need to be even keeled on the set. And it's a high compliment that they come to you, these industry professionals with many years experience, because they see in you comfort and supportiveness that is so needed. The industry is such a high stress, intense industry, and time with on set is, it can be pressured and long hours, and it has to, so many factors come into play, that it is a honor and privilege to be one of the people, and I congratulate you on being one of the supportive people that is not only talented and creative as a production crew member and a filmmaker and a comedian, a podcaster, and a variety, a person who wears many hats.
Mhm.
It's a huge compliment, Louise, and also it's an honor and privilege to have you on the show because we need more of you in the industry. Isn't that right?
I agree. And I learned early on through several mentors, Roseanne Ehrlich, who gave me my first shot. She was my screenwriting teacher in college, and always loved my work. And the first real hand of kindness that I experienced, like the first major one, was in 2004. And she said, I used to work at Paramount, and I think I can get you on the lot to pitch one of your stories. And that's when I knew it was really about who you knew, right? And then also, I didn't do well on that pitch, I don't think, but I made a contact there who helped me through. He was the creative director at Paramount who helped me through so much so many questions. I got to go to the law a few more times with some friends, introduce them. And looking back, yes, I wish I would have gone into that office and pitched something and had it sold, like that whole overnight success story. But obviously I wasn't ready. I still had a lot to know about the politics and policy of a pitch meeting. I still had a lot to learn about writing and who you share ideas with, and what gatekeepers you have relationships and which ones you don't. Ironically, too, I also learned through the years like when to ask for favors and when not to, and not really to rely heavily on just one contact. And I've met a lot of incredible, super higher up people that will take calls. However, I'm really holding on to that because I've learned that you make the call when you really, really have something that you need, and strike while the iron's hot, because that day is going to come. That day is going to come for anyone that's been doing it as long as I have, because it means that you're here for the long haul, and that's what it takes, is being here for the long haul. It's a marathon. It really is. And so I've helped out a lot of people just because I know favors or boomerangs, and eventually it'll come back around. People I've helped raise funding for, or have been on their shows, or have had them on my shows, if they get a job before me, show running a show on Netflix and need a writer, I want them to call me and be like, can you write, can you pitch me a couple of story ideas? That happened to me with my friend Douglas. He ended up getting a budget for a horror film last summer. He was fresh out of ideas, and together we came up with this great horror story that I'm so proud of, that tapped into things I was scared of as a kid. Long story short, my dad was a preacher and would bring in these like strays off the road and have them at family dinners, and it was always safe. And he would preach to these people, and we just didn't, as kids, we just didn't always like, the people that were camping in our front lawn. And one of those people unfortunately went on a violent streak, and so we had to have the police at our house as kids for a few weeks, just as an extra precautionary. And I thought, let's do a story about that. Let's do a story about these little boys that are afraid of this one person, and have him actually show up and like terrorize the family. And
yeah,
it's called Kingston, and I'm not part of the production on that, but as a writer, I can't wait to see what they do with it. I want to see it just like go there. And it's just I'm a firm believer in boomerang favors come back to you on some level.
Me
And
too.
so,
Me too.
yeah.
100%. I love that. I love that philosophy. It's a win-win philosophy. And it's true. Energy output, it does, if you put a lot of effort into it, and goodness and positive energy, that will return to you. And that's what we're here for too. It's a mission. It sounds
Mhm.
like a mission for you. And I love hearing that, Luis. And I have that, my husband and I share that same philosophy. I know Adam does too. And thank you for your wisdom, because I think this is going to really help so many people. And it's so true. You've learned from your experiences, and they're all wonderful experiences that you've had. And you sound so, like I said, grounded and balanced. And you could write a book. You've got really great advice. Speaking of great advice and fun things, you're also a podcaster as well
Mhm.
as a writer. And on screen, I have the TV Time Machine and a picture of you. I think the picture of you is from your the Ponder All podcast.
Yeah.
But we have both of them on screen. Let's talk about that, because the first one is, and then I have another picture of the Ponder All podcast.
Mhm.
But let's talk about the TV Time Machine, how you and Adam met. How did it come about, that idea? Take it away.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually met Adam, wow, through a friend named Mike that I worked with back in early 2000s. I remember going to 84 Diner in Beacon, New York, and meeting Adam. And he came in with like, this is pre-parent Adam. I was pre-married Luis at the time. I was still in school, and he came in with this energy, super captivating. He sent me the nicest email afterwards. He was like, I feel like I've met you in a previous lifetime. You remind me of like having a brother, like one of my brothers. And from there, it was just nonstop, obsessed with film, obsessed with each other's scripts. We started working for NBC. We had a pilot for NBC that we co-wrote that made its way really far up in the ranks, and unfortunately was never moved into active development. But we got close, and it's still a project that we've talked about. It's still on the back burner. I think it'll still one day come to fruition. It's about foster family in the 90s and their sons, and they're all trying to go through the adoption process, and they each represent a different ethnicity. And it's in the 90s, and the world was different then. It was basically about the kids I grew up next to. I grew up next to like a foster home and went to high school with a lot of those boys, and learned a lot. I was just fascinated with them, and so I wanted to do a series about it. So Adam and me really developed this like entire series, 4-season series about these boys in upstate New York. When I moved to Spokane, again, it was during the pandemic. I didn't know anybody. I was just starting a new job. I was homesick. I was scared, like everybody else. I really needed a creative outlet. And so one night, me and Adam were talking about podcasting, and I said, we should just do a show about TV shows. Just talk about TV shows. And I said, what would he call that? And he goes, well, how about the TV Time Machine? And within an hour, Adam made the little logo that's on screen.
I love that.
He went and recorded the song within 2 hours and sent me our song. Like he went into his little studio because he's a musician as well. Big shock.
Yes, he was in a band, right? And toured at one time.
Yeah, he was in a band. Yes, Sensei, they were called. I actually got to go see that with my musician brother in Brooklyn. I was in town because we were working with an actor from LIE, the Paul Dano film. The young kid, Billy Kay, that was in that film, was helping us. He attached himself to our pilot. And so we met for a reading in Brooklyn, and my brother met up with us, and we went and saw Adam's Band that night. Such a cool story. Yeah. And so we said, let's do this TV Time Machine podcast. Let's do it on Sundays. Let's get some guests on there. And we did that, where we're into season 3 now. And we haven't been as committed to doing it on Sundays. We're going to start again in the fall, mostly because of all the other projects going on. Summers are rough. He's got 4 kids. I've got 2 kids and the pups, and it's just been crazy. But what we do is we just tackle a subject and talk about it. We had best sci-fi shows. We had a sci-fi writer on. We talk about the best, the best TV pets was one of our recent ones. We talked about Lassie and Flipper.
I was going to say, is Lassie in there?
Lassie is in there. We talk about, the saddest moments in TV history that we remember, like Douglas Ross on ER passing away, or the Wonder Years finale, like how sad and heartbreaking that was.
How about foreign directors like Vittorio De Sica and The Bicycle Thief, or Umberto D, our French filmmakers? Is there a podcast on that?
There's not. It's so funny that you bring that up. I swear this is all meant to be, because I'm working on a script right now with Adam. The next short film I want to do is about a kid trying to leave his religious faith to join a Hollywood production, and all of it is based within French New Wave storytelling. We want to shoot it here in Spokane. It's very simple. Not a lot of in-camera dialogue like I want to do, just to save money and to be a little lazy, if I'm going to be honest, just to get it done. I want to do post audio work, overlaying it, voiceover, because a lot of French films utilize that in such a great way.
Yes, fabulous.
And let me that up.
And so that's coming up on a project that you're doing with Adam. I
Mhm.
love that. Do you love film noir as well?
Yeah, I love film noir. Again, it's crazy that you bring that up because the film that I shot with Adam, um, he calls it, what does he call it? I think he has a certain phrase for it. Uh, it's in noir, isn't it? It's like his own phrase he made up. And mumble noir, I think it was, because mumblecore is like improvisational film, but he's trying to add a film noir twist to it. So yeah, we're big, huge fans of anything retro, on the TV side. TV really used to be an event when I grew up.
Yeah, didn't
And
it in the 80s and 70s, 80s and 90s? I mean, it was great, wasn't it? There was so much different fun
yeah,
jingles, music, and
it was just an event. And all of it is around ads now, and the streaming kind of revolution has really changed the way we watch TV even. And so, we examine all that stuff, best villains, best BFFs, best will they or won't they? Friends, Ross and Rachel made that list of will they or won't they, Ted and Diane from Cheers. So we basically cover one topic and then we'll pull up a reputable list from like Esquire or Rolling Stone or TV Guide. Does anybody remember TV Guide?
my gosh, I loved TV Guide. I used to buy it. Oh my gosh. And especially there would be stars in it. My dad used to get it every week. Remember the 8 p.m. Friday night movie on like Channel 11 or Channel 13 or
Sunday night movie too for families.
Sunday
Remember?
night, right?
Yeah,
Right,
Disney
yeah.
Channel, the Disney Family movie every Sunday. So we get really giddy about that. We want to do one on the Mouse because Mouse are not a thing anymore. The movie of the week. Remember they used to have the big NBC, CBS would have their own movie of the week, and it was
Oh my gosh, yeah.
The Boy in the Plastic Bubble with John Travolta,
I loved
or
that.
Meredith Baxter Burney playing someone with an eating disorder. Kate Secret was this huge, big deal when I was a kid. V, the series about the aliens that ripped their face off.
Oh, yeah.
All that stuff. So we really get nerdy, and that podcast has such a following right now. We really need to get back to our fans, and I think if we really carve the time out, we would get sponsorship because we're always doing what we call unsponsored sponsors, where we just say that they're not sponsoring us, but they are our sponsor, unsponsored wise. So we're always talking about Pluto TV and Tubi. Liquid Death is our favorite drink, so we talk about that. So we just kind of pretend that they are our sponsors, but we call it unsponsored sponsors, and hopefully someone will catch wind and be like, "That's actually a good idea. Let's give you, some ad revenue from that."
Yeah,
And
it's so much fun. And so where can people watch it? Is it on YouTube?
yeah, so we do have episodes of TV Time Machine podcast on YouTube, and you can go to Spotify as well, Apple Podcasts, wherever you want to listen to a podcast. Just Google TV Time Machine podcast, and you don't have to watch the episodes in order or listen to them.
Oh,
Uh,
that's so cool. Oh, I
yeah,
love that. So they're self-contained episodes and not dependent on one another. So that's awesome. I love that.
yeah, and you get to know us. We always gripe about our lives or give updates about it. I really miss it. We need to get back to it. It's just been such a blast. And then the Ponder All podcast, the other one that was on there, is going into season 3, and that's just me kind of doing a Mark Maron style interview show. A lot of times it's just me talking. This episode this week was about my trip to Portland, and they're very simple, under 20 minutes for the Ponder All podcast. However, I do like to, when I do have a guest, I like to pull out my Rolodex to see just who I can get that has a massive following on there. And
Awesome.
yeah, my first guest, believe it or not, was Dean Devlin, who wrote Independence Day. He directed
Wow.
all the Leverages. He's done Librarians, so much, such a in the sci-fi world and TNT Leverage world. He was so nice, and his manager was so great, and he gave me 25 minutes.
Wow.
And this is someone that when I was a teenager, I remember waiting in line for 2 hours to see Independence Day. This is someone who co-wrote and produced Independence Day,
Wow.
Godzilla, Stargate, and he's on my show. And
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. How did it make you feel?
I was so starstruck, but he made me feel so comfortable and gave me such great advice and said to reach out whenever uh, to have him back. So that was great. And then I've had some TikTokers that have several, 100,000 millions of followers just to get their perspective on things. I think it's important to have that community involved
Oh, yeah.
too
The
in
younger
podcasting.
generation, the influencers,
Yeah,
TikTok has just taken off, and that's really great. So those are self-contained as well,
yeah,
episodes. And are you on YouTube and this is it the same distribution,
yeah,
Spotify, that good
yeah.
stuff?
Spotify, the Ponder All podcast is on YouTube as well. There's a whole Ponder All channel where I do film reviews from TikTok and just transport them to YouTube. And yeah, I'm having my season finale in three episodes, and then we're coming back. Ponder All podcast season 4 is coming back
Wow.
in September. Yeah, I do 20 episodes a season, and like I said, they're so small, under 20, 30 minutes. Nothing too crazy, and I really want to amp up my Rolodex to kind of just keep networking and getting to know people.
Absolutely. That's the way to be. And I love it. So, everybody, check out the TV Time Machine podcast and also the Ponder All podcast. Both of them sound exciting and super fun. And I'm going to check them all out. I love it. And I encourage everybody to do that. Yes, yes. So, another picture I found here, it's called, is it Couches? A new
Yeah.
film by Luis Garcia, a Garcia Brothers production. Now that's with Adam, right? Is this what you referenced before? Tell us about it.
So me and Adam made a production company in 2018 called Garcia Brothers, and it's Vargas Garcia together.
I love
And
it. I
our
love it.
first, yeah, thank you. Our first foray into this was a script I wrote called Couches. I wrote this when I was in LA in 2016. That one we have signed talent for, or we have budget for. We're just waiting for the right time for me to commit to come to Portland. This one is shot very French New Wave, very kind of run and gun as well. The signed talent that we have is a super well-known comedian and rapper, not only in the Portland area, but in Seattle as well. And so this is one of those, like I was saying, I want to show up and do right and prove myself that I can get it done in my time frame.
Yes.
In the meantime, while we were waiting for the kind of stars to kind of align on Couches, we did Adam's film noir. We shot that during I moved from Portland to Spokane, and there was all these fires and the sky was pink and scary. Remember that? How scary that was? We decided to shoot around that. So that's where the film noir came in.
Wow.
By my character who is kind of scared with the world the way it was with the pandemic and all the fires and all the rioting that was going on and social kind of upheavalness, which was needed. So my character basically panics and embezzles a bunch of money. It's kind of like a Hitchcock tale.
Oh,
He
cool.
embezzled money, asks his friend to help him move. He has the money hidden the whole time. His friend finds the money. Turns out his friend needs money to survive like a treatment that he's going under. So it becomes super intense. And we shot that film. That I saw a rough cut of it 2 weeks ago. I was completely blown away with what Adam was able to do with literally no money and a camera and sound gear. And just
Amazing.
he just kept telling me what he wanted. He would give me notes on the performance, and he kept telling me, improv here, here's what I want you to say here. And he just kept capturing little moments and was able to make a short, not a short, it's actual feature out of it. And
Super.
so Couches, what was that? I'm sorry.
I just want to say absolutely super. I love it.
Yeah. And then Couches is a scripted drama about a young man who basically has 90 days to find housing and a job, or he's going to go to jail for 6 years. he is a addict in recovery for alcoholism and other drugs, and he basically caused a car accident and hurt a member of a family. There was a family in another car, and really physically hurt one of the parents. Since he had no priors, he's getting this chance to get his life together. Only problem is no one wants anything to do with him. As you know, folks that are addicts usually burn a lot of bridges with their friends and family. And there's no one really for him when he comes back to Portland, basically from his rehab. And so basically he just starts couch surfing and working various jobs for anyone that'll give him a chance. He uses in real life, it's called couch surfing as an app, but in our story, we just kind of use a similar app. And so he starts making friends with random people that'll take him in, and is struggling with sobriety, struggling with his guilt, and he really wants to reach out to the family to apologize. And it's just a pretty gut-wrenching, kind of in-your-face portrayal of what it's like for someone coming out of an addiction. I've had run-ins with alcohol addiction before, and thankfully with therapy was able to get that into a right place. But this is based on a story, someone I met in Los Angeles who owned a chain of restaurants. I became friends with. He gave me some night jobs working in his various kitchens, and I found out that he, 8 years prior, was in this situation, had several addictions, had a certain amount of time to find work. No one in Los Angeles that he knew wanted anything to do with him. And to his point, rightfully so. He had a little girl he hadn't seen in 3 years, an ex that didn't want to talk to him. So he really needed to prove himself. And now, with all the work, I think his daughter's graduating college now, and he's remarried, and he just did the work. He put in the time. And I really wanted to showcase what it's like to start over, but really give a realistic portrayal of a second chance. In this case, couch is, the eighth chance. I'm a firm believer in giving people chances if they're willing to work for it, and couches really is a celebration of that. And so I want to shoot it in a style that's very avant-garde and very kind of run and gun, because when you're living, I've never been homeless or have faced homelessness, but I do know what it's like to wake up hungover and not know what you did the night before, and have people not want to talk to you, and you have your party crowd, and then you have like your friends that are a little more straight-laced, and trying to find your way where you fit into that world. I grew up in a religion that was super strict and kind of sheltering, and I don't think that did me any good coming into the real world. And so we examined that religious trauma as well with this character.
What religion did you grow up in?
Jehovah's Witness.
Yay. All righty.
Yeah.
And so you have your own experience in that as well. You can bring that richness to the story of couches.
Yeah. And I say it didn't do good for me only because there was so many restrictions. I know plenty of witnesses that practice their faith are very happy, successful people. But for me and my dynamic, it didn't work. And so for my character, I never really mentioned the religion. I keep most things not on the nose. I really don't talk about what addiction the lyric has in the script. I don't talk about the religion he grew up in. I keep things very general. That way more people can relate to it. So it's not on the nose or specific.
Absolutely.
And the actor that we have has also gone literally to the exact same thing lyric has. And I didn't know that when I got to meet this person. And I was so scared to reach out and talk to this individual because of his stature. But he's agreed to do it. And I told him that we couldn't do it when I wanted to because it didn't feel right. And I don't want this to feel rushed. I want this to be a passion project where I have my shooting schedule. I show up to Adams. I crash on his couch literally while we're doing this. We can pay everyone a living wage. We keep it very small. And the actors that I have working with me are SAG. So we want to be able to honor the SAG contract. So that's another thing that's holding us back. Mm-hmm. And also just do this one right. There's a lot of run and gun type experiences we have to show up to. This person's rap performances and comedy performances. So it's going to be a lot of, let's see what happens. Like, we're rolling the camera, we're having our sound there, but let's kind of see what happens. And so I really am excited about this, but it needs to be right. And I know for a fact we're going to shoot it in 2024. And I don't care about what season, but it's going to be done. And I need 21 to 28 days to get it done right, just to follow the structure. I've written it in such a way where we can do it simply, and so excited about it. And I'll keep everybody posted on it.
Yes, please do. This is a beautiful film and story with great messages and great social messages and wonderful themes, because we all need to learn how to overcome things in this life, whatever challenge it is. Addiction to, I'm just going to throw it out there. Addiction to popcorn. Okay, I have to I'm self-confessing.
Cool. I've been there too. Popcorn's a good one.
um, but yes, all of life's challenges, and the mindset to the paths and the people that are put in our lives to help us, and the circumstances and experiences to help us get through and to learn, because I do believe we're here to learn on the planet. And this sounds like such a fabulous story, Couches. Luis, I really I can't wait to see it. Are you going to be doing the film festival circuit after it's completed?
Yeah, that's the goal. Obviously everybody says that, and says, we want to hit the big ones. I kind of want to do a little bit of both. I think what I'm learning now with Dream Cycle, the film that I helped produce here in Spokane, that is on the circuit now, and internationally winning awards, thanks to Don and his incredible script and our incredible actors and incredible crew putting together this lovely story. I'm learning that kind of having a multi-marketing approach is important. So what I want to do with Couches is I want to obviously do the festival route, podcast route. I want people to use this in classrooms with high schoolers and junior high kids. Let them know, like, you have a choice. You can do what Lyric did, who didn't want to face his demons, didn't want to face the fact that he was hurting, took the pain out on himself, which obviously if you're hurting yourself, you're going to hurt others. And it's just like this trickle effect. And then when you decide to reverse that, the healing effect also climbs upwards. And so we have a pretty dynamic ending to something that you really wouldn't expect, but also realistic. I didn't want to sugarcoat consequence, because none of us get to sugarcoat it. And so, yeah, I'm hoping the film makes.
Yeah, you're right. There is hard work in that redemption. Whatever we overcome, sometimes there's sacrifice, a little bit of pain or struggle, a compromise that we have to give up, or behavioral adjustment, if you will. Learning new patterns, a new switch up of the mindset, like you mentioned. It's all hard work, but it's so important. And I love that you're addressing this. So great. Really great, Luis.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll definitely keep everybody posted on it. And I wanted to self-finance as well. I didn't want to put the burden on like a crowd funding level, because those are tricky. I wanted to own this and self-finance, and I'm in a place where that's going to be possible, just with like lots of saving, lots of just being creative in how you come up with funds. And it's just to pay people what they can live off of, and feed people, and not just feed them pizza, which is fine, but actually find out what makes someone feel comfortable while they're putting out so much of themselves into something, and not making a ton of money, but making some money. But I remember when I was associate producing The Falls Part 2, we had somehow messed up. I had somehow messed up someone's dietary restrictions, that it wasn't enough of that type of food, vegan food, for them. And I felt really bad. So I asked this person, okay, there's literally a Whole Foods up the road. So you're here 2 more days. Just give me a list. And I'll deal with I'll deal with production budget people later. And
Wow.
she was like, well, it'd probably help if I was able to choose. And I was like, okay, well, let's just go. Let's just go figure this out. And that's what it's about. It's like really making people feel comfortable because we're asking so much. This role of lyric, not only is our actor having to deal with bring his own life into it, but also carry on such a heavy-handed part. And you want people to feel really comfortable when they're doing that. And as a director, I've been on set before. I've learned to let your actors do the job, let them breathe, do not micromanage. You coach to make sure the story is moving forward and getting your vision. But if you let actors breathe and make the part their own, it's really when the magic happens, and give notes that make sense to what your vision is and to allow them to make the right choices for the character that they've envisioned. That's when the beauty comes in. And
Wow.
I'm excited about that process with them.
I love that. You are amazing. I love how your philosophy is to help people put them at ease and have them feel comfortable. That's really that's a great set. That is a perfect energy dynamic set. That's how things are on time. Your call sheets are on time, and there you are suggesting workarounds for the vegan
Yeah,
uh,
actress.
right actress so that she can feel more comfortable and at ease. That's perfect and beautiful. This is outside thinking of the box and resourcefulness, Luis, that you have, that is a winning story, a winning success story. And I just love hearing this. I do have one more question. I'm sorry, we're going to have to start wrapping it up. Time has gone so fast, but
Oh,
I
great.
enjoyed this so much.
Me
Um,
too.
I want to ask you one more question, if I may, and then we're going to do our heart messages. Um, and up on screen here is the TV Time Machine podcast and the Ponder All podcast. Please check it out and support Luis Garcia. He's phenomenal in every way, and we're going to get his contact information in a minute. But I did want to ask you about the strike and how you feel about it, and how long do you think it'll go? It's been such a pleasure to have you as a guest. Over to you, Luis.
I obviously full solidarity with my SAG-AFTRA brothers and sisters, Writers Guild of America, especially full solidarity with them. I think this is a very much needed revolution. I call it a revolution because we need to show what we're worth. And it's heartbreaking to see my friends that have struggled so much in Los Angeles and New York, who have really overcome some major obstacles in the last decade, and to stick it out this long, to see them out there sweating and looking, looking strong, but also the overall feeling is kind of sad and depressing. But seeing them carry on is super motivating for me. And it saddens me that they have to worry about bills and things at this time. But there is things that we can continue to do. And that's, anytime you get to retweet something, bring attention to what's going on, go see movies. Don't cancel your subscriptions right now. That money's going somewhere, mostly into the studio's back pocket, but we need to support where we can. And, if you're in an area like Seattle or Spokane, I don't know if there's any picketing going on here, and you want to pick up, 2 cases of 12-ounce 40 plastic water bottles, that's what, $20 maybe. Do
Yeah.
that and drop it off at the local SAG-AFTRA or Writers Guild picket line. They'll appreciate it. If you can bring donuts, pizza, give them a honk, support. That's what it's going to take. I think this is going to last a little longer than anticipated. The stakes are very high right now. The writer strike from 15 years ago was similar but very different. The fact that there's 2 major unions involved is very concerning. Important. I think it's going to last a little longer. And we were just talking about this in my improv class last night. how TV, the projects that have been halted are going to affect, output for the quality of what we're going to be getting on network television. Network television's already had problems with the quality, and now everything's going to be unscripted. I think that'll dip ratings, which will make the studios lose money. People are going to lose interest very quickly. I don't think people care about game shows to the point where they're going to sit around at 8 o'clock on a Friday as a family and watch crossword or whatever the hell they're trying to resurrect. Pressure luck with a bunch of unknown people that are not SAG. It's just a really sad ploy that the networks are trying. So I think it'll last a little longer, but I think it's going to revolutionize everything. And this whole AI thing needs to go too. I haven't found any useful. I've used AI tinkering with it, and I just don't think it needs to be anywhere creative right now. I think we need to seriously regulate that. So the fact that they're trying to get ahead of that is huge. So
I agree 100%. I think there needs to be regulation for AI so that it doesn't get out of control and become Terminator. And we've all seen that movie, and we don't want Skynet,
no.
controlling everything and it going sideways. So I totally agree with you, Luis, and really well said. So also donate. You mentioned donate any way you can, everybody out there, to support the WGA and SAG-AFTRA. And also a shout out to all the people there, and Fran Drescher leading the way. Thank you so much for fighting for us and representing everyone at this important historical time. And so thank you so much for that, Luis. And you've been phenomenal, and I'm so happy. You've made me very happy today with a great show. And how can people support you? Talking about support, how can people support you, get in contact with you, hire you for a film, hire you to be a writer or an actor? Tell us how they can get a hold of you.
I have kept the same email. It's kind of like my little good luck charm. I've kept the same email for 2 decades now, and it's thescreenkid@gmail.com. So it's THE screen SCREEN kid@gmail.com. I did have a production email up at the Prondral productions.com. I'm trying to change the domain name to make it simpler. So Gmail is the best way to get a hold of me if you want to send me something or want my resume. And then I'm on TikTok, on the Ponderal podcast on TikTok, where I do reviews. So likes and subscriptions would be helpful. And then, yeah, please follow the 2 shows, like and subscribe to shows. Please leave us reviews. We want show ideas. I want guest ideas for my Rolodex on the Ponderal. If you want to be on the show, you don't have to have an entertainment background. If you want to just come on the show and talk about anything, just let me know. I love meeting new people. And I think that, the more community we build, the more say we have in what happens with our art. Art isn't something that you should be able to regulate. I mean, we should be able to regulate our own art, but corporations shouldn't be regulating other people's work to the point where it's only benefiting them. That makes absolutely no sense. And I think people are fed up, and I think it's time that we make some real change.
I love that. I love that so much. Thank you for that. And I want to second that. I agree completely. And also I wanted to say, along with that, piggybacking on that we should, here's my heart message for this week, and then we'll go over to you, Luis, for your heart message. But such great gems you've dropped today. Incredible. Your kids are so blessed. So much love to you and your family on that. But my heart message is keep your analytical thinking going, creatives, because we need you in the world, your originality. No one will ever replace the human being. So you are important, each and every one of you. So keep that critical analysis going in your brain. Keep asking questions, keep being curious, keep creating your art, whatever form it is. And that's my heart message for this week. Over to you, Luis.
My heart message is to keep having perspective. And literally, it's not about being the best. It's about having a perspective and being unique and being yourself. And that's all you literally have to do, is just be yourself, share your perspective, and you will find an audience, and vice versa.
I love it. Thank you so much. You've been a super VIP, special VIP guest, and
Thank
we've
you.
enjoyed you so much. And until next time, I'm going to do two fans this time because you're extra special.
Oh, thank you.
And we appreciate you so much, Luis. And so, ciao. Until next time, ciao.
All right, take care. See you soon.